Hello guys and welcome to this PC build video. Yeah, first you see me here struggling to get the case out of the box, which is here a very fancy RGB case, and that is gonna be the whole theme of this PC, RGB all the way. Yes, so I'm gonna be using here a very fast AMD Ryzen 5 3600 XT and an RX 580 GPU in this wonderful Kolink RGB case. And I decided to try out this RGB for once. I've been holding off personally really because I'm just not that kind of guy, but I decided let's do it. Let's finally build one, and I think somebody's gonna have eventually fun with this. Now, I just decided to actually build a PC in the worst possible situation because the market's just screwed up really. Prices of certain used parts have gone up, and if I wait around any longer, they will probably just come down again and I would be screwed. So I decided to bite the bullet, just build the PC now, and yeah. Nevertheless, it's gonna be fun. It's a good mix of new and used parts, and I'll talk you through them as we go along. So the motherboard I've been using here was the Asus ROG Strix B450F Gaming 2, quite a mouthful, but bought it new, got it for a reasonable good deal, and it is of course the appropriate AMD socket. Now, this being a rather powerful system, I didn't want to go with the super cheapest one I could find, so that I think suits this PC really well. It's got 2 NVMe slots and 2 PCIe for graphics cards and all that for expansion in the future, 4 RAM slots as well. Pretty cool. So there you see me unboxing the Ryzen. Don't get confused by the second Ryzen box, it's just the box where the cooler was in, the additional cooler I bought, and AMD Wraith RGB cooler. And yeah, I found this cooler to be pretty cool in theory. However, I found it to be really loud. Apart from that, super easy installation and awesome looks, of course, and decent cooling performance. So it's just that I find it rather noisy under load. Tell me what you think. Here I do install the thermal paste, and I'm currently in the process of figuring out the AMD cooler. Again, at the time, this is the first time I ever installed such a cooler, and I didn't know that it was really that easy, that all you have to do is flip that lever from the one position to the other position pretty much. But I didn't know that at the time, so I messed about with it a little bit. Yeah, and there I'm also hooking up the RGB header for the fan. This board even has 2 RGB headers. We'll be using the second one, of course, as well. Here I'm installing the awesome 1TB Crucial NVMe SSD. Bought it new as well. Got it for a reasonably good deal too. And it's fast. I can't believe how small this thing is and how fast it is. It is really insane. So NVMEs, this is the second NVMe I've ever installed, and I find it amazing. It's just a really nice new technology. Well, it's not new per se, but just caught on in the past years, and it's so fast. And look at it, it's like it's not even there. It's so nicely integrated in the board, and it could really very well be that maybe one day we'll just see the disappearance of standard SATA hard disks at one point, or SATA SSDs, because they can just be so nicely integrated into the board, and for most people it's enough. So yeah, we're only gonna be using here NVMe storage, no SATA, nothing, just NVMe. So let's go to the little more controversial part. This is a 650 watt power supply from the brand called ASA, whatever. I've never heard of this brand. To be honest with you, it didn't really feel all that high quality. They used kind of cheap materials, cheap metal, and it is 80 plus certified, so it's 80% efficient. And truth be told, I haven't really read any bad reviews, and so to save a little bit of money and not, of course, taking a risk, I decided to go with this. I found it to be rather cheap and yet 80 plus certified, and it even has a freaking RGB fan, so I mean, how can I go wrong there? Well, I don't know yet. Again, I have no experience with this brand, but I got it new, and it was okay for the price. Pretty good deal. So why don't we go ahead and install all of this stuff into our nice Kolink case. So let's just have a little bit of a talk about the case. This case cost $64.80, at least from the eBay shop I bought it from, which I find an insanely good deal for a new case with that RGB stuff. And it's not a full-size tower, but I think it's a perfect size for most people. And I gotta say, it really is an amazing case for the money. Sure, you can't compare that to like a high-end case from the quality perspective, like a fractal case or something. The materials are sometimes flimsy, there's sometimes cheaper plastic, and stuff is maybe sharp around the edges here and there, but again, with those 4 fans included, RGB fans, and the features it has, I think it's a rather good deal. So sure, it's not the best high-end thing out there. However, definitely a recommendation from my side. It features all the good ports you need on the top, and it can house all the regular components, so you can put in there like a full-size ATX board as I do, or even a micro ATX, mini ATX, whatever you want, plus a big graphics card. Now just a little tip actually, in this case here I wouldn't put the power supply in first, because when you lay it on the side, the cables are, they route it all throughout the back, which is nice for cable management, but if you need to work inside the case, you're gonna squish all the cables just like I did. So maybe don't do that. Maybe put it in at a different stage. Just a little reminder there. So there you see me test fitting the board and finding quickly out that this is having the standoffs for the MATX board, and I need of course the full-size ATX, so I'm screwing out those standoffs and putting them in where they belong for the full-size board, which is a little inconvenient, but yeah, that's mostly because I don't have the right tool for it. Also, they don't include it, so yeah, well, it's again not a fractal, so what can you do? But with the appropriate standoffs, it just goes in perfectly, and yeah, it screws in okay-ish. Of course, alignment isn't as great as high-end cases, but you only do it once, I guess, and it's fine. It's not wobbly or anything, not at all. So don't get me wrong, maybe I talked a little too negative about it. I find it a really, really good case actually for the deal, for the money I got it. It's a pretty good case. So those are my thoughts about the case. In general, for the price, an amazing case, definitely recommend it. And here you can see me struggling a bit with the wiring, with the cable management, because I want this to be nice. This is a computer I will sell, so we can't have all the cable madness, right? So guys, voiceover Manfred will continue in a second, but I just want to quickly update you on the wiring. This took quite a little while because I wanted to be very nice, and also this panel here isn't really helping you at all because it blocks you from getting to those pins at the very bottom if you have like a full-size ATX board such as this, but it's not all that bad. As you can see, this is gonna be a really clean system. Almost no wiring is gonna be visible, and kind of weird, we have all of those cool SATA ports, but we won't use any of those. And so yeah, the only thing that will still get in here is the graphics card, and then that's it. So we'll have to run the two graphics card wires, and then we're done. So we're not completely done with the wiring, only so far that the computer can boot. What I still have to do is to wire this controller thing for the fan, because we have all of those fans. We have in total 1, 2, 3, 4 fans, and this can even take up to 10 fans, which is incredible. And that needs to be plugged into each fan. So each fan has this cable, and we'll plug them all in, and this whole contraption gets powered by SATA power, which is pretty handy. Well, thanks for letting me speak again. Here you can see me setting up this fan controller for the RGBs and the fans. This has a remote also where you can set the fan speed and RGB animation and colors and all that good stuff. And yeah, it's a pretty simple setup. Alright, now let's go to the more exciting part, and that is the graphics card. This is a pretty sweet RX 580. I got it used. It's in very nice condition. Didn't even need to clean it up, nothing. And it's the 8GB variant. And I will install it right now. Now first I tried installing it in the upright position, but I found out that the graphics card is just so heavy, and it's really hard and just unnecessarily complicated to screw it in this orientation, so I flipped it down in a second there. But has enough space. You could even go with a longer card, which is awesome in this case. So no limitations as I really can make out here. You can even have another one down there, enough space for a second one. And yeah, the RX 580, well, it's a loved or hated card. Some people say, so bad value and all that. I think it's a pretty sweet, it's like sweet spot for if you want a little bit, not like spend not too much money, but also want decent performance. You gotta make a little trade-off here and there. It's liking power a lot, so it's one of the more power-hungry cards, and it's also very noisy. And about the noise level, well, there are actually people who don't really care too much about it because they have headphones on, they're on a Skype call or Discord call with their buddies, or they just want to hear the game. So yeah, just heard that from people, so that also opened my eyes a bit. So guys, we are now ready to boot it for the first time. All the components are installed. It's not tidied up just yet, but it is ready to post, hopefully. Let's see what all lights up and if the whole computer gets into a BIOS. Boot. Ooh. Yeah. Look at all those colors. Great, so now show me a signal, please. Doesn't seem to be showing a damn signal. Ah, there it goes. It took a little while. Maybe it just had no idea what happened right now. Alright, so, sorry for the janky monitor here. The problem is, my usual test monitor is just so old, it's only VGA. So we got here a Ryzen 5 3600 XT, 16 gigabytes of RAM, that's great, and it says a new CPU has been installed. So from the looks, we got a working system, it posts, and I'm just gonna check, yep, all the fans turn. Unfortunately, not really all that silent, to be honest with you, but yeah, you gotta make some kind of trade-off. Before we go into the BIOS setup utility, I want you to look at all of those damn RGBs. I mean, you gotta say, they look pretty cool. And if you like this sort of stuff, it is amazing. I mean, I wouldn't like to have a disco right next to my bed when I'm sleeping, but that is looking pretty good. I'll turn off the lights, so maybe it looks even cooler then. Well, hopefully the camera picks it up somehow. And from what I've seen from the reviews and all that of this case, it can be controlled to do different kind of animations and color combinations with the remote, but we'll do that last because it's not really all that important. What's important though is that we get Windows installed, that we get all the drivers installed and stress tested a bit. But I am very confident though that it will be just fine. But really, AMD, you outdid yourself with this amazing cooler. Not only because of RGB, also because its installation is so simple yet efficient. Okay. What I will do now, guys, is I will install Windows. Just leave it the way it is for now, in case something goes wrong, in case I have to troubleshoot something. I don't want to tidy it up yet and then find out like there's some sort of error. So what I will do is install Windows, stress test it a bit, make sure all this stuff works, and then finalize it, put the cool tempered glass side on, and yeah, we'll finish it off then. But for now, the boring part, Windows install, well, nevertheless, should go pretty quick on this. And install the drivers for the RX 580, and yada yada yada, you all know it. So I'll make a cut, and once this is up and running, I'll be back with you. Okay, now that you have seen the computer functioning perfectly, it is now time to tidy it up, finalize it, put all the panels on, and I just had a hard time getting the panel to close because of all this cable stuff. However, just had to pry it down a bit. All these new cables, they're always very stiff, but once you push on them down a little bit, it will close, and then it's perfect. So our gaming rig is taking more shape with every second. Now we put here this tempered glass panel on. This is, believe it or not, the first ever case I've worked on which has such a panel, see-through panel. And yeah, I'm keeping this protection layer on the outer side on for now. I want just that it doesn't get scratched up or something, and the next owner can, you know, remove it. So I'm flipping it over. It's just easier and safer to screw it on this way. And yeah, then we are actually done. Then we can test it out a bit, make sure everything's fine. Here I'm actually fixing a little bit of a problem with the case where it wouldn't align perfectly. So not a big deal, just a couple of hits with a spudger and it would. And here it is, all done, finished. Had a good time building it, something a little different than usual for me too. Yeah, it certainly isn't all that silent. It's mostly the fault of the graphics card, I suppose. But also I have the fans on high speed as well, just to give it the best cooling performance. But yeah, decent results nevertheless, even though we get a little jet engine next to us here. Well, 580 is known for that, so nothing new. Oh well. CPU is amazing though. Fastest CPU I've benchmarked so far. So our gaming PC is now complete, and it will do all the current games and future games with a decent frame rate. Processor is amazing. I mean, I can't really say how often enough how amazing AMD is nowadays. And now I want to run down the cost of this whole rig, and you tell me if it's a good deal or not. But I can tell you right away, in Austria, as of December and January, the time span where I bought all the components, it was a pretty sweet deal. So we have the Kolink case for 6480 new. Then I have the Ryzen 5 3600 XT 6-core CPU for 230 used. Also, I got a cooler with it, an original box, so that's also a little bit extra worth there. And I figured that currently it sells around $300 new, sometimes even more, so I think I really got a good deal on the CPU there. Then I bought this cool Wraith Prism RGB cooler for $25, that costs around $40 new. Then the motherboard, $112.39, bought it new, pretty okay price I would say. The one stick 16GB Vengeance RAM 3800 MHz, bought it for $52.75 used, and it sells around 71 to 75 euros new. Then the PowerColor RX 580 graphics card, I got it for 205 euros, and it sells for 240 or 250 even new, some even higher. It's crazy how this is really weird, really screwed up, and they were cheaper, like a lot cheaper at one point. I don't know what caused that, like COVID or something, I don't know guys. But yeah, that set me off that I have to build it now or never, I guess. Then the crucial 1TB NVMe was a reasonable 7967 new. The weird, sketchy or not, I don't know, ASA 650 watt power supply costs $58.90 new. And finally, the Windows 10 license cost me €7.49. So we have a grand total of 836 euros invested here. And I think someone will happily take this out of my hands for 1,200, maybe even 1,300 euros or something along this price point. This is what I want to have for this. And I think it's a decent value. Definitely future proof, especially that CPU. Ooh, it's so sweet, I can't say enough. This is like one of those that I had, if I had like to build a PC for my own right now, this is probably the one I would go for. So I saved myself around 138 euros for going used, which is definitely always a good idea for CPU and GPU. So all new, it would have cost around 975 euros ish, something along this. But this of course varies between markets and if there's a sale or if it's Prime Day or whatever. So can't always, say that for certain, but that's what it would cost new. So what do I think about this computer? Would I like to have it? Not really. It's just way too loud for me. This Prism Wraith cooler, as cool as it is, I probably won't buy it again. It really is very loud once it spins up to full RPM. It's like crazy expensive as well with $40, and then you get such a loud cooler. I don't know guys. It is efficient, so that is definitely nice, but the cooler, I'm not really saying I'm disappointed. I'm just a little surprised that it's really that noisy. But that seems to be the theme with AMD devices sometimes. They're just noisy, and yeah, same with this PowerColor RX 580. But RX 580s are known to be loud, so we'll not debate on that. And the case, yeah, if I were this RGB type of guy, this is definitely the one I would go for, because it's such a great value. Where it falls a little short is quality, but that's just a little rant on really high level, because I'm used to a fractal case, and it's like probably the Rolls-Royce in the case industry when it comes to quality, at least in my opinion. So yeah, this is the RGB Disco PC, as a good friend of mine calls it. And yeah, I'm thinking it's a pretty good build, especially for the money. Definitely nice value PC, and it should do all the games. So I hope you found this interesting, and see you later.